Welcome back to my channel. My name is Walia from Zambia and this is my garden adventure. Today we're going to be looking at something interesting. Today we're going to be covering ferns. Now ferns, as anybody that knows me would know that I am a foliage girl. In short, I love greens. I love foliage plants, anything that has leafy greens, anything that grows wild and green is something that I will obviously gravitate towards. Now it took me a while to sort of find my space in the plant gardening spectrum, but eventually I figured out that that is what I love, foliage plants. And of course ferns fall under foliage plants. So today we're going to be looking at first of all my own personal collection. I'm going to take you on a tour of my own personal collection of a few ferns that I own. Of course not everything, but I'm going to show you a few varieties that I own. So most ferns that I have been able to acquire along the way have been ferns that I had written down on my wish list. So obviously we all have wish lists for specific plant types or varieties. And so for me, the plants that I've been able to acquire are some that were appearing on my wish list. And so having had an opportunity to purchase them along the way for me has just been like an extra exciting thing for me, because I know that some ferns were a little harder for me to source or to find, while others were much easier. And also the fact that there's some ferns that ordinarily you can't find around, like especially within the area that I live in. So I had to coast towns in order for me to be able to acquire specific ferns. So just a little bit about ferns. So ferns generally love to grow under certain conditions, obviously lighting conditions, certain watering conditions, certain humidity conditions. That is number one. You need to understand the types of conditions that your ferns need to thrive, or need in order to be able to thrive. And so because in the wild they grow under canopies of trees, so it's a cluster of trees mostly, and then they grow right at the base, right at the foot of those trees. So obviously they are experiencing filtered light, and because of that, essentially it means that even when you bring them into your home space, either indoors or outdoors, they need to be in a place where they're going to receive filtered light. So the best is, if you're going to place them in your home, place them in a place where there's either the south or the north facing window, or alternatively you can put them in the east or west facing window, but just ensure that they are moved away from direct sunlight, even as the sun seeps through into your home. That said, you would also need to understand that ferns don't like to remain in soil that is extremely wet. So they need moist soil, but they don't want to be overly wet, because that will encourage root rot. So obviously I'm going to talk about this in a later video, but then you just need to be aware that you do not need to leave your ferns in soil that is going to be extra wet. And then they also love tidbits of humidity, so your air obviously has to have those water particles in it. So if you can put them in your bathroom, even better, or in your kitchen where there's a lot of humidity generated, even better. So humidity conditions need to also be looked into. So we've talked about lighting conditions, we've talked about soil conditions, and we've also talked about humidity conditions. So basically those are some of the things that you need to know about your ferns in order for them to thrive. Yeah, so now I'm going to take you on a tour on some of the ferns that I own personally, and these are ferns that I've collected over the last couple of months and are currently in my possession. There are a few that I won't show you, obviously because I have bundled them in such a way that there are some that would not fit, so some are somewhere else within my garden, but the ones that I will be able to show you are the ones that are bundled together in a cluster, and so it's easy for me to be able to film those particular ferns and show you. So if you're interested, come with me. Okay, so this is my current fern collection, not in order of favorites, but I'll try and insert the names on the screen just so you would know what we are talking about. So my ferns are basically all stacked on my veranda. So I have decided to put them on my veranda because of the amount of light that basically comes through onto my veranda. It's something that I know is helpful for my plants, because I know that they don't really like a lot of sunlight. In the wild, of course, they grow down under other trees, stacks of trees, and layers of shaded areas. So putting them in a place where they receive filtered light is the best option at this point, because I know the muted light is something that they need in order to be able to grow effectively. And so yeah, for the most part, they seem happy. Though as I'm filming this right now in my country, we are just starting out our winter months, our winter period, which runs from between the month of June all the way through up to beginning of August. With the changes in weather, global warming and all, we are now experiencing our winters even all the way through up to about mid to late August. So yeah, it's a bit chilly today. The weather is not very favorable as I'm filming in the morning, and so the fact that I am filming in the morning means that it's a bit cold, very chilly, but I'll try my best to try and get shots of all my ferns as they are stacked together within my veranda. So this looks like a ladder fern. It's not doing so well, as you can see from the leaves. They recently got fed just before we started the colder periods of this month, but then I can see that she's not really doing so well, so I possibly need to consider mulching her so as to create a barrier for her to be able to work through the cold. And then there is this one also is seemingly not doing so well, so I know that she loves a bit of some humidity from my experience, and so because of that I can see that she's really not doing so well because of the cold air drafts at this particular space where I've put them. So yeah, my giant maiden here is also crinkling up on the edges. I'm just trying to focus my camera. Yeah, so I can see she's crinkling up, possibly also due to a lack of adequate humidity. Might need to consider pumping up the humidity, or even possibly move some of these into a warmer space, just so that they get a bit of some favorable conditions for them, especially during this winter period. This one also is not doing so well, as you can see from the drying leaves, but the soil looks good enough. Like I said, recently worked on the soil for my ferns, and that is something I'm also going to cover in a later video where I'm going to be talking about soil mix. that I make for my different plants, and also specifically for the ferns. So yeah, basically these are some of my ferns, and there's one here as well, which is also not doing so well, as you can see. So these leaves will need to be chopped up, and yeah, some drying leaves here, and then there's some that are up here, also need a little bit of some trimming. As you can see, this one needs to be trimmed up and possibly worked on as well. Yeah, so yeah, so basically this is my fern collection at the moment, and this is what they look like.